You are now watching the Amazin Mets pregame show with your hosts, Rob and CP.
Let's go Mets! Let's go Mets! Let's go Mets! Let's go Mets!
What's up, Mets fans? It's your boy CP, and welcome back to the Amazin Mets pregame show. It's a great day for some afternoon baseball, especially after a brutal, heartbreaking, gut-wrenching loss, however you want to say it, last night that came in extra innings for our New York Mets, 5-4 to the Philadelphia Phillies. It was a game that slipped away from the grasp of the New York Mets there late in the ball game, especially in the ninth inning. Going into that inning, up 4-2, and then Edwin Diaz nevertheless giving up the game-tying run on a walk. 2 walks for him. We'll talk about him in just a second, but obviously here, no Rob today. He's out at work. I'm here doing it solo. I appreciate everybody in the chat already. Keep dropping in your live chat comments, your thoughts and opinions on this team. Obviously, we'll talk a little bit about last night, and then we'll transfer over to the lineup today and look at this pitching matchup that we have down below here. Obviously, it's a 1:10 p.m. start. I understand a lot of people got work. It's a weekday. Hopefully, you all are able to tune in right now, whether you're taking a lunch break, sneaking away from work, doing work while you're listening. I definitely appreciate that. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate the channel has just eclipsed 700 subscribers as well. I definitely appreciate the support through and through. It definitely means a lot to me. Shout out to Hayden, shout out to Patty, shout out to Darren, and shout out to Mason in the chat as well. I definitely appreciate you all's support here in this very early Tuesday afternoon. All right. Last night, you come off of a series in which the New York Mets lost to the Atlanta Braves over the weekend, taking 1 game out of 3 games, and then you follow up with another NL East rival, division rival, Philadelphia Phillies. You're off to a hot start. You get up to a 3-1 lead, and we'll talk about that here in just a second because I do have the box score here up on the screen for you all to view. This really gave me inspiring confidence what I saw Pete Alonso and JD Martinez do last night. And first of all, I think before we get into anything, I think we need to give just a little bit of credit to Pete Alonso coming into his own over the last 5 games. Over the last 5 games, Pete Alonso has 8 hits. 5 of those 8 hits are extra base hits, 4 doubles, 1 home run, 6 RBIs, and 2 walks. Batting average is up to 230. On base percentage is up to 314. And Pete Alonso really is seeing the ball and taking good at bats. Now, like I said, this is only a 5-game sample size. We know the brutal stretch over the 30 to 35 at-bats prior that he went through. And you are no stranger on this podcast, whether it's the Roundtable or the Amazin Mets pregame show. We are objective, obviously, in calling out the guys that really need to get out of these funks. And Pete Alonso definitely is one of those guys. I really aim for him to continue this hot streak because the middle of this lineup really needs to start carrying this team and this offense. And that's something that it has not done just yet. And that's why the Mets are sitting at 19-21, losing a multitude of ball games that the pitchers have kept them in, but the offense just simply hasn't been able to produce. And that really comes in the middle of the lineup. Now, yesterday was an exception to the rule. JD Martinez, 3 hits, 3 for 4. Believe he had 3 RBIs as well. Pete Alonso, 2 for 4, 2 doubles, really was that table setter for JD Martinez. They came through. I know Lindor took the offer. I know Brandon Nimmo took the offer. But all in all, when you talk about this lineup and the sort of worries that we had here going into this season of this lineup being top heavy, last night is where you really see that come into play. And really, before you get into anything that Edwin Diaz did yesterday, right? We all know that he wasn't sharp. We all know he gave the bomb to Bryson Stott. He actually, to me, located that fastball well, but I'll get into Edwin Diaz's performance here in just a second. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves because really, the Mets offense had a chance to blow this game open in the 3rd inning, and they failed to do so. And we can sit here and talk about Edwin Diaz. We can sit here and talk about Jorge Lopez and him not being able to get the job done. Adam Ottavino, obviously, coming in to clean up that mess. We could talk about that all day long. But what we really need to talk about objectively as Mets fans is why when the Mets have bases loaded, no outs, your 5th batter, JD Martinez, just draws a hell of a walk. I believe he was down 0-2, then went up to get the walk for the RBI. Still no outs, bases loaded. Your 6, 7, and 8 hitters in Brett Beatty, Jeff McNeil, or Brett Beatty, Harrison Bader, and Jeff McNeil, all striking out to end the inning. You only get 1 run in that inning, and it's only a 3-1 ball game, helping to keep the Phillies in that ball game. Like, that's something that I look at in the 3rd inning as an opportunity for this offense to do something that this offense doesn't do at all, at least not on a regular basis this season early on in 2024, is put teams away, the opposition away, step on their throats and put them away early in ball games. That was the perfect opportunity. The middle of the lineup set the table, got on base, and 6, 7, and 8 could not produce. That was an absolute killer and was the turning point of this ball game. Listen, hats off to Sean Manaea. He's been absolutely phenomenal. He pitches 6 innings, gets taken out at exactly 100 pitches. Believe he had 6 strikeouts mixed in there as well. Sean Manaea pitched his ass off. And for him to not escape with the W last night is absolutely egregious. I'm frustrated. I know a lot of Mets fans are frustrated. This entire fan base should be frustrated because what we saw last night is not acceptable. JD Martinez is officially batting over 300 in his Mets career this year since being called up, obviously, after that first couple of weeks in the minor leagues. But really what we need to talk about here is not JD Martinez. He's never going to be the problem. Pete Alonso can be the problem, and we've seen him be the problem, right? We've been talking about the middle of this order, obviously, especially with the failures of runners in scoring position, which I'll talk about here in just a second as well. But the supporting cast, who has been great over the first maybe 4 weeks of this season. Brett Beatty getting off to a hot start. Tyrone Taylor, who's actually in the lineup today. We'll talk about that. I love Tyrone Taylor. He's been getting the job done. Harrison Bader has kind of been falling off of a cliff. I never really got on the Harrison Bader bandwagon. Obviously, I know the defense that he provides, but just the bat is very inconsistent for my liking. I know he had a hit yesterday, but really didn't step up when it was time for Harrison Bader to step up. This lineup hasn't clicked on all cylinders. We still are yet to see and have yet to see this lineup click on all cylinders. It's frustrating. It's really frustrating. So let's talk about Jeff McNeil, because Ricardo's sitting here talking about Jeff McNeil. And yes, Patty, absolutely. I appreciate you being a member of the channel. Leaving men on base is my big issue, not pitcher walks. This is a huge issue, Patty, and thank you for bringing it to everybody's attention because I released a podcast episode on my channel yesterday. It was a pre-recorded episode, dropped it around 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, talking about this lineup with runners in scoring position. They are bottom 15 when runners are on second or third base, because it could be either. They are bottom 15 going into yesterday, hitting .236 with runners in scoring position. Also bottom 15 and leaving runners in scoring position and on base. This is something that this offense, not only this season, but last season, maybe not so much 2022, although if I dig around for the statistics hard enough, I probably will find that the Mets are probably maybe middle of the pack, maybe like 12, 13 range in runners in scoring position and the efficiency landscape of it, but definitely in 2021 as well. This team over the last couple seasons, all in all, has been brutal with runners in scoring position. That has not changed. And that is a testament not only to the middle of the lineup, not only to the supporting cast, this entirety of the lineup, the personnel that this team has, they are all responsible for that. Now, what I did say, if you guys don't feel like going back and listening to that podcast episode, I'm going to save you the trouble. I did the digging and I dug up the batting average leaders around the league with runners in scoring position. Now, obviously, batting average is sort of maybe a little bit of a subjective statistic to pull here with runners in scoring position because you have situations where a runner's on second, maybe a ground ball to the opposite side or pull side, depending if you're righty or lefty, gets the job done. Obviously, it counts as an 0 for 1, but you do your job in terms of moving the runner in the grand scheme of things, and also a sac fly. That's also an efficient way. It doesn't affect your batting average, but it's not going to show up and count towards that average. But nonetheless, I pulled the batting average with runners in scoring position for the New York Mets around the league in comparison to around the league in my podcast episode. And I was very surprised to find what I found. And I really shouldn't have been, because anybody that has watched the Mets consistently this season could probably come to this conclusion regardless. But nonetheless, it just kind of opened my eyes. Brandon Nimmo is ranked 30th in the MLB in terms of batting average going into last night's game with runners in scoring position, hitting 375 in such situations. 30th in the entirety of the MLB, right? Pretty good, right? Can you all guess? I'm going to actually pose this question. We're going to have a little fun on this stream here, on this pregame stream, as we're just about 45 minutes away, maybe 40 minutes away from first pitch here on this lovely Tuesday afternoon. By the way, subscribe to the channel if you're new here, whether you're on X or YouTube. Subscribe, hit that thumbs up, all that good stuff. I definitely appreciate the support. Can you all tell me, the Mets only have one other hitter in the top 100 around the league. They only have one other hitter that we've seen so far in this lineup this year, and I'm not including Mark Vientos. Only one other hitter appears in the top 100 in terms of batting average with runners in scoring position. Can anybody tell me who that is? And if you listened to the podcast episode yesterday, don't respond. Don't give the answer away. I'm actually curious of, if nobody watched the podcast episode, I'm curious what answers you all would give me. Who is it? Not Brandon Nimmo, because he's 30th. Who is the other player on this team in the top 100 in terms of batting average with runners in scoring position? And Patty says she can't respond. I appreciate it. That means you listened to the podcast episode, which is a great thing, Patty, and I definitely appreciate the support. And as always, Carlos, you're absolutely right. Hit that like button, all that good stuff. Amazin is guessing Taylor. Ricardo's guessing Marte. You're both wrong. Taylor's actually third, but he's out of the top 100, I believe, at 110th. Then again, I don't have the actual list pulled up, but I have the top two guys and their positioning, and then also the 3 and 4 hitters of this lineup, and I have their exact positioning as well, because this did shock me. Taylor is third on the Mets, coming in at around 110th in the league. Guys, the answer is DJ Stewart at number 97, hitting 286 going into last night's ball game with runners in scoring position. DJ Stewart. Not Jeff McNeil, not Starling Marte, not Pete Alonso, not Francisco Lindor. Is that a problem to you all? Like, do you understand my thought process of when I talk about this team now and looking at this lineup and the problems that it's occurring now with runners in scoring position, and going back to Patty's point in the chat with leaving men on base? DJ Stewart being the only other guy in the top 100 around the league is a problem. Your number 3 hitter, Francisco Lindor, batting .211 going into last night's ball game with runners in scoring position, ranked 200th. Your cleanup hitter, Pete Alonso, ranked 165th, right around the 230 range in terms of batting average with runners in scoring position. Now, I understand that this is a sort of niche statistic for me to pull. I almost wish I pulled the OPS instead of the batting average, because honestly, if you're getting on base in general for runners in scoring position, that's efficient for me, and I should have pulled the OPS, and I apologize about that. But nonetheless, you all probably get the gist of where I'm going at with this. And I can just say this until the cows come home and something starts to click with this lineup. But it's just frustrating as a fan to just watch runner on second, no outs or 1 out, stranded. Runner on third, 1 out, strikeout, ends up being stranded. It's frustrating. And last night we saw, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is because last night we saw this exactly. And I'm going to tell you the culprits last night were Brett Baty, who's cooled off after a phenomenal start. We've had those discussions with Rob and myself in terms of the efficiency landscape of Brett Baty and the sustainability issues that Brett Baty may sort of hit, and he has hit those now. Batting average down to 230. OBPs in the 270 range. Jeff McNeil, another culprit. And both of those guys actually struck out in key crucial situations with runners in scoring position last night. And can you even guess what the main consistency of those two strikeouts were between Brett Baty and Jeff McNeil? It was a fastball in their wheelhouse. They are lefties, and they naturally have a little bit of an uppercut swing. So their sweet spot and their just zone to drive a baseball is going to be the inside low pitch. They both looked at that pitch for strike one. Next pitch, Jeff McNeil, I believe, fouled it off, and Brett Baty got an off-speed pitch quickly at 0-2, and they end up just absolutely tossing the at-bats away. So there are consistencies here amongst why these hitters, especially Jeff McNeil and Brett Baty alike, both of these lefties, are struggling. It's because they are not hunting for their pitch, in my eyes, early in the count, and they don't see anything else that's nearly as good as that first pitch later on in the count. And not only that, because you can get down in counts and you can work yourself out of it. We saw JD Martinez do it. We've seen other players do it. Brandon Nimmo is awesome at doing this. But these guys have no pitch recognition right now. They don't know where the ball's going. They don't care. They're swinging. Jeff McNeil had a brutal strikeout. I believe it was the day before or yesterday on a check swing on a ball in the dirt that he shouldn't have even thought about swinging the bat. And the pitcher got him to chase because Jeff McNeil and Brett Baty are not seeing the ball well out of the pitcher's hands. It boils down to that. It really does. You can tell when these hitters are seeing the pitches clearly and efficiently. And you can tell based off the naked eye, even through your TV screen, who's seeing the ball well and who isn't. And you can tell it by their takes, how aggressive and how consistent their takes are on pitches out of the zone. And you can also tell by the overall confidence and aggression level of their swing on pitches in the zone. That's how I assess the game of baseball. And having played, that is what I watch out for as a fan when I watch on my TV screen who is at the top of their game. And the result doesn't always have to be a base hit. You can hit a screamer right at somebody and it's a win because you had a competent at-bat and you put a good at-bat together. So it's not all about the end result for me, but the process. And I've talked about the process even going back to spring training in my live streams that I did, my post games during spring training. And we're not seeing that out of a couple of guys in this lineup. And it extends to a lot of guys, right? It's not just Jeff McNeil and Brett Baty, but these guys are the ones that are the culprit, especially last night, to have this ball game broken wide open in the third inning, and the Mets failed to do so. So, need I say more? This is your box score last night. Let's get on to Edwin Diaz because last night was really head-scratching for me for Edwin Diaz. Listen, I'm just going to get the elephant out of the room. I did see the missed call on 3-1 to, I believe it was Whit Merrifield on the check swing. That's horrible. That umpire needs to be better, and that cannot be a missed call. That cannot be a missed call. That is a swing, and it should have been 3-2, 2 outs with the potential to strike Whit Merrifield out to end the ball game. Instead, it was bases loaded, and we know what happened from there. But Edwin Diaz, I really do think that pitch that he threw to Bryson Stott, though, I think that was a well-executed fastball. I know Bryson Stott, and this is just a testament to the lefties, that low and in pitch, like I just said that Jeff McNeil and Brett Baty love to watch go by for strike one, Bryson Stott took that low and inside pitch and drove it over the fence for a home run yesterday. That's what I want to see Jeff McNeil and Brett Baty doing, but they're not doing that because they're not pulling the trigger on the swing on those pitches. But nonetheless, I think that was a well-executed fastball from Edwin Diaz because it was about a ball off the plate inside. Bryson Stott simply just turned on it, and it's more credit to Bryson Stott being a good hitter in that situation than Edwin Diaz missing that pitch. But all in all, Edwin Diaz's pitches last night concerned me a little bit. Not the velocity. The velocity's there. He's throwing 98. I'm not sure if he touched 99, but I know he touched 98. The velocity's there. The movement on the slider is there. In my eyes, correct me if I'm wrong, but the movement on the slider is there. but the command isn't there. The pitch location isn't there. The execution on those sliders that get hitters to chase out and away of the zone isn't there. And I'm not really sure what's wrong mechanically because I'm not really in tune and in tune with the fine mechanics of upper level pitching. I'm really not. So I can't speak to anything mechanically that's going wrong with Edwin Diaz. Obviously, he's coming off of a major injury, a major recovery. We know that. And it's only May 14th in the grand scheme of things. So we're about a month and a half in, and we're talking about a pitcher that hasn't thrown in over a year. I understand that. But the problem is that with the Mets being such a middle-of-the-road team right now, and in a situation like last night, when the Mets desperately need a win to try to get back up to 500 against the NL East leaders, these are games that you will look back in July, August, September time and really kick yourself if you're a Mets fan and a Mets player and anybody involved with the Mets organization and look back and say, that's a game that was one of the differences between where we're at in the standings right now and potentially being a playoff team if it comes to that. If it comes to that. If. There's a lot of season left to go. But what I'm trying to get at is those wins hurt you in the grand scheme of things because they make your margin for error in June and July that much less. And this isn't only the first game that we're talking about this situation in this light. There's been a handful of games so far in 2024 that the Mets have lost that should be in the win column. And they're making the room for error and the margin for error that much less because they're going to have to play exceptional baseball to keep pace with these wild card teams. Now you're talking about a wild card that's led by the Atlanta Braves. You got the Padres in the mix. You got the Cubs in the mix. We'll see. Carlos Ramos is saying, CP, as far as sugar goes, I think we have to give him time to adjust and find his rhythm. Mincone put out a tweet that explains that he's adjusting with his legs and knee, but he will figure it out. And like I said, yeah, I agree. I can't speak on, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know the ins and outs of the pitching mechanics. I wasn't ever a pitcher growing up playing baseball. And in my, career baseball, I was never a pitcher. I can only speak as to the hitters, their approach, and maybe some of their mechanics, but I can't speak to the pitchers. So I'm not going to even try to critique his mechanics whatsoever. All I'm just going to say is that the end result here, and I hate talking about end results, but the pitches and where they land in the strike zone is not going to work. And that's what's really hindering him in my eyes. But I agree. I agree with that assessment. I think you really need to give him some time to adjust. I agree. I will say that. And I hate making excuses because we just lost a ball game because of it. He had 2 walks on the day, but all in all, as a Mets fan, you have to realize that this guy really is coming off of a major injury. So maybe some slack is in order, and you got to cut him some slack. But this can't persist for months. I think that we all can agree on that this can't persist. So whatever's going on with his mechanics, not sure who's in charge of telling him that. I would assume it's Jeremy Hefner. This needs to be fixed, and soon. Because when it comes time to the Mets actually going into the 9th inning with a lead, which has been, it seems like it's been few and far between so far this season, always playing from behind, you need to lock those ball games down. You need to lock those ball games down. And this could be true. This could be true, Joel. This could be true. Maybe he is struggling with his plant foot. Like I said, I don't know about the mechanics. I don't know what it takes and what, like, biomechanics are involved with that injured knee. I don't know. I'm not going to even speculate. So it's best for me not to. But all I'm saying is that for the Mets to go to where we all want them to be at by the end of the season, Edwin Diaz is going to have to play a crucial role. And it's just a little bit concerning the way it started off. That's all I'm going to say. It's a little bit concerning. And yes, Amazin, I understand the Nationals have a half game better record right now than the Mets. It does pain me. I'm just going to leave it at that. I do watch the standings. I can't lie. And it does pain me to see that. I don't think that the Mets are as bad of a baseball team as the Nationals. I will give them credit, though. The Nationals are a very up-and-coming team. They're a young, talented team, but I do think the Mets on paper should be better, and they should be better record-wise. But like I said, it is only May 14th. We can only use the excuse of it being early for so long, though. 2 weeks from now, we're staring at June, one of the worst months in New York Mets history continuously for this team. And I'm not going to say June soon or anything like that. I don't really buy into any of that crap, but it's 2 weeks until June. And the season goes by quicker and it progresses quicker than most people think. So we're at May 14th. I agree it's early, but we can't keep using that excuse for much longer. That's all I'll say about that. Back It Up Binge podcast is here. Always tough as a fan to watch the pen blow potential win. Trust me, I have Kimbrel as my closer. Hey, your O's, man. Your O's. They're a good team. They're a really good team. Really good team. Hats off to them. I like the O's. I wish them nothing but success. I think they did the rebuild the right way, and I like the Baltimore Orioles. They're a great team. I will say that. All right. Have we exhausted the debacle that happened last night? Am I missing anything? Jorge Lopez wasn't sharp. Adam Ottavino got the job done and cleaned up the mess in a great way. Shout out to Adam Ottavino. Shout out to JD Martinez. Shout out to Pete Alonso. Am I missing anything? Runners in scoring position is horrible. Edwin Diaz looks off. Brett Beatty, Jeff McNeil look lost at the plate. Carlos Mendoza, by the way, saying that he thinks that Jeff McNeil is trying to do too much, and he's just a hitter going through it right now. I understand that the manager is supposed to say that, and I'm not even sure that Carlos Mendoza agrees with what he's saying, but he has to say that to the media, right? Jeff McNeil, it's more than that right now, Jeff McNeil. It's more than just a hitter going through what hitters go through. The process, if the process isn't up to par and the results are off, it's more than that. If the process is correct and he's taking good at-bats and he's taking good swings and the results aren't there, then yeah, that's a hitter going through it. But that's not what it is right now, Jeff McNeil. It's not what it is. So I'm not buying into that. But then again, like I said, Carlos Mendoza has to say that to the media, right? We all know that. Hit that thumbs up. This is the Amazing Mets pregame show. We're just about 25 minutes away to first pitch, 27 minutes away from first pitch, if my math is correct. 1:10 p.m. start time. It is a beautiful Tuesday afternoon here on the Amazing Mets pregame show. Subscribe to the channel if you are new here. Hit that thumbs up for you, boy. It helps the podcast grow. It helps the stream grow. It helps the channel grow, all that good stuff. Hit that thumbs up. I definitely appreciate everyone who's in here talking about the New York Mets right now. We do it because we love this team, and that's the bottom line. On a normal Tuesday afternoon, the last thing that I'd want to be talking about is the New York Mets. Because I got a New York Knicks team to worry about tonight and how they're going to bounce back in Game 5 against the Indiana Pacers. That's on the forefront of my mind as a sports fan. But I'm here talking about a matinee matchup after a heartbreaking loss that should have been a win for our beloved New York Mets, whose flag you can see right behind me. I love this team. We all love this team. And whether we critique them, whether we support them with maybe over-exaggerated positivity, it doesn't matter. Bottom line is we just want to see them do better. We want to finally see them do better. And by the way, you can find me on X and Instagram as well, all at the same handle at CPNYSports. Same thing as my YouTube handle. It's the same as my YouTube handle. And make sure you hit that live chat with your thoughts. Like I said, I definitely appreciate it. Yeah, Darren, Sean Manaea had an absolutely phenomenal performance. Phenomenal. It's a shame that he couldn't get the win on his record. 6 innings pitched, 6 strikeouts. I believe you're right, and only 1 walk. Fact check me on that, but I believe only 1 walk. Location was great. That's it. And that's right, Carlos. It's the bottom line because CP said so. Absolutely. Joel, I'm going to tell you right now, the Knicks are scaring me. Post-game on my channel, the True Knicks Talk podcast, post-game later tonight. My guy Nick from the He Did This To Me podcast and myself are talking about it. Make sure you tune in. Obviously not Mets related. It's Knicks related, but I imagine we have a couple of Knicks fans in this chat. Make sure you all tune in. It should be a very interesting game. Hopefully it's a little bit closer than it was in Game 4. This is your Mets lineup today on May 14th, 2024. You got Brandon Nimmo leading off, playing left field. Starling Marte batting second, right field. The top 5 doesn't change. The top 6 doesn't change from last night. JD Martinez still in that 5-hole DHing. He's been an absolute tear. JD Martinez, by the way, is phenomenal. If you want to watch an approach and you want to try to mimic an approach as a right-handed batter, watch JD Martinez, man. That man carries the ball. He had a double down the line to the pull side, and he also had a double in the gap to right center field. That man's spray chart as a hitter in his career, I'm going to look that up right after I get off the stream because it's probably beautiful. That man is a pure hitter, and he knows how to take pitches where they are thrown, and he is one of the just best pure hitters probably in this league right now. And I know he doesn't, I know everyone just thinks about him as an afterthought because he's old and he's got back injuries and he doesn't play every game. He misses a lot of games, et cetera, et cetera. I understand that. But as far as pure hitting styles and pure hitting approaches go, JD Martinez is definitely up there in the league. It's a beautiful thing to watch on a consistent basis when he's right. Tyrone Taylor is getting the start. Thank you, Tyrone Taylor. I love Tyrone Taylor's game. Harrison Bader's obviously, he's hitting 265 on the season. Had a base hit yesterday. Struck out in a key situation in that third inning like we were talking about. But I like Tyrone Taylor's bat. I think he provides more electricity. And the glove is pretty on par as well. So Tyrone Taylor's getting the start. Joey Wendell's in the game today. He's getting the start. Oh, boy. Now, listen, I was on my Blue Shirts Banner post-game show last night, so I couldn't, I had my phone up during the stream, and I saw Joey Wendell coming up in the top or the bottom of the 10th inning. Did he try to bunt? Was he unsuccessful on a bunt attempt? Because that's what I think I saw. My eyes, I wasn't wearing glasses at the time, so maybe my eyes deceived me. But did a veteran Joey Wendell, the guy you brought in here to replace Luis Guillorme and be that veteran, not only in the field, but also with the bat in situations that you put him in the game for, like last night, did he not get a bunt down when he was supposed to? Someone tell me in the chat if my eyes were deceiving me. Because I've had it up to here with Joey Wendell, man. I've had it up to here. Just the lack of execution from such a veteran player is very disappointing. It really is disappointing. Yeah. That can't happen. That can't happen. Oh, that can't happen. Yeah, Joel, JD's a professional hitter. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You can't have that happen. It's a shame. It's almost like rewarding bad behavior. Like he gets rewarded with the start after he absolutely butchered that bunt in a crucial situation. And yes, M-Easy, I know that Guillorme sucked too. I understand that. But you take a look at different options you have in an organization, and bringing in Joey Wendell just quite simply never made any sense to me in the offseason, and it still doesn't make any sense to me right now, especially with the way he's been playing. I don't understand it. Nonetheless, this is your starting lineup today, through and through. The Mets, Carlos Mendoza needs to push different buttons. He's been pushing all types of various different buttons with this lineup, with the bullpen combinations. By the way, Drew Smith is back and activated, and Adrian Houser is making the start tomorrow. I'm sure we'll do a pregame stream tomorrow. We'll try to at least. And we'll talk about Adrian Houser making his way back to the rotation after throwing 2 scoreless innings in the Atlanta Braves series in the bullpen, I believe in that first game. So I don't want to open that can of worms on this stream right now. I don't want to open that can of worms. I'm not going to. But if the Mets don't win today, you have a game 3 trying to avoid the sweep of Adrian Houser on the mound. I don't like my chances. I'm just going to say that right now. So win today, please. And yes, Iglesias should be up like yesterday, Joel. I agree with you. Jose Iglesias and stashing him for no apparent reason, especially in a situation like right now where you can just replace a veteran that hasn't got the job done with a veteran that looked great in spring training and can get an opportunity to get the job done. I agree with you. All right. Per ESPN, this graphic's right from ESPN. Anybody can go on ESPN right now before the game and look at the New York Mets lineup that was thrown out there today by Carlos Mendoza in their career versus Aaron Nola, who we have on the mound today. Aaron Nola has gone 7 innings plus in his 3 of his last 5 starts. The last 2 starts actually were his shakiest, but we all know the strikeout capabilities that he possesses, especially with that 12-6 curveball. That is an absolute bender. A lot of personnel in this lineup, in this Mets lineup today, have had experience against Aaron Nola, by default being obviously in division. Brandon Nimmo's had some success, 12 for 46 in his career, 1 home run and a 261 batting average. That equates to a 261 batting average. You see here, Starling Marte hitting 333 in his career versus Aaron Nola, 9 for 27. Pete Alonso loves to see Aaron Nola. He rakes against Aaron Nola. 16 of 46 in his career with 5 home runs off of Aaron Nola. What type of run production will the Mets get off of Aaron Nola? That's the question. That's the grand old question of them all. So you see the lineup here in the success versus Aaron Nola. We do have the opposition today on the mound. 3.67 ERA. Like I said, good fastball, curveball combination. And this is just a familiar foe to this lineup. So I really hope the Mets bats get going. You see Brett Beatty is 0 for 4 in his career. You see Omar Narvaez is 0 for 4 in his career versus Aaron Nola. They really haven't had the sample size. And JD Martinez doesn't fare too well versus Aaron Nola. But Jose Butto, man, we got Jose Butto on the mound as well. It'd be a disservice to this stream. It'd be a disservice to you all as Mets fans not to talk about Jose Butto before we inevitably end this stream, because we are just about 15 minutes away from first pitch. Jose Butto, I understand that his last couple of starts haven't been glamorous. I understand that he gave up, 3 earned runs and only 5 innings pitched against, I believe the last outing was against the St. Louis Cardinals. Got the win. I'm not sure if he got the win on the record books, but they won the ball game 7-5 in that start. But I like Jose Butto, man. He's pitching to a 3.00 flat ERA. And sometimes he struggles with his command. I understand that. But still, when you look at this rotation and just like the overall mentality of Jose Butto up on the mound, I'm thoroughly impressed with the Mets throwing him in a situation and needing his services when he first got called up. I'm thoroughly impressed from start to finish up until this point on May 14th with what we've seen from Jose Butto. I'm very impressed. There's times where Jose Butto provides the Mets length, going 6 or 7 innings pitched. We've seen that so far this season. And there's times like the last outing where he doesn't have his best stuff. He gets off to a shaky start. Believe all 3 earned runs were in the first inning in that start against the Cardinals. And he just coasts the rest of the way and finds himself getting out of situations and jams and providing the Mets 5 innings. A game that starts off 3-0, you walk a couple batters here and there to end the ball game, not giving up any other runs for the rest of your start. That's a win in my book. Like, that's a testament to the fighting bulldog mentality that Jose Butto has up there on the mound. And yes, you're right, Joel. He has been great, and he has he has all the makings of the back end as a back end starter, not only for this year, but he's going to be here next year as well. And he's probably going to be a back end starter for this team next year as well. And he's not going to be sent down next year. He's going to make the big league roster from spring training, obviously. So I like Jose Butto. Jose Butto's been more than serviceable. There's been a lot of starts that he hasn't had the run production from his offense that he's needed to have breathing room and to be comfortable up there on the mound. Because like I said, this Mets team is about margin of error or lack thereof. They don't provide their pitchers consistently with room to breathe out there with early leads. They did yesterday, and Sean Manaea came through. The bullpen that's been great, let it up. So like I said, it really is just a testament of this team not clicking on all cylinders. All three facets of the game, starting pitching and bullpen has been great. Offense has been abysmal. There's times where the offense has been great and the starting pitching has been abysmal. It's about clicking on all cylinders, and so far the Mets haven't done it consistently. That's it. Shout out to Stevie Mac 23, by the way. Shout out to you, Stevie. I appreciate you. That's why I wanted someone like Whit Merrifield when they were still sitting out there for months. When those types of hitters, those back-end hitters, I believe is what you're trying to get at, were sitting out there for months towards the tail end of free agency waiting to be signed. Going super cheap with someone like Wendell is just asinine. Yeah, I'm not really sure exactly what the thought process was with Joey Wendell, but nonetheless, the offseason's done. You can look back at all the content that I did in the offseason. I'm sure we talked about Joey Wendell when he was signed. We talked about a lot of guys when they were signed, and one of those moves that just simply didn't make sense. And an overall great offseason that I thought David Stearns had was Joey Wendell. So I don't know. We got a game to play. First pitch is in 13 minutes. That's going to be it for the Amazin Mets pregame stream. Like I said, brutal game. I always say this. Listen, after a heartbreaking loss, which has been a couple so far this season, what do I always say? The beautiful thing about baseball is that you get to do it again tomorrow. Is it a beautiful thing? Do the Mets respond and make it a beautiful thing? Or do they just roll over and double down on the misery? I don't know. We'll find out here in a couple hours. But like I said, here is the lineup success in their careers versus Aaron Nola. Aaron Nola just got his contract extension. We're going to be seeing Aaron Nola for years to come. So it'd be good to start this matinee day game off with a bang and get off to an early lead so Jose Butto can do his thing, go out there and fight his way to 5 or 6 innings pitched and leave it up to the hands of the bullpen yet again. I appreciate everyone being here from start to finish. Thank you so much for tuning into the stream. Hit that thumbs up if you're watching live. Come subscribe to the channel if you're on X. Watching on the X stream, come over to YouTube and hit the subscribe button. A lot more pregame streams this season. Going to try to get a dual stream here with Rob going sometime this week. Maybe if we have time for an in-game stream this week. We've done 2 so far this season. Keep an eye out on that. You can find me on all my social media handles at CPNYSports, X, Instagram, YouTube, all that good stuff. I am there. I am talking about my teams. And I'm hoping for the best. That's all I can do at this point because the Rangers have let me down the last 2 games. The Knicks have let me down the last 2 games. And the Mets have let me down more often than not with a 19-21 record. So we'll see how they respond. Cheers to you, Carlos. I appreciate you. Thank you for the support. Hit that thumbs up. As always, I appreciate you all. Until the next stream, let's go Mets. Absolutely, Patty. LGM, LFGM. Get the win. I don't care what it takes. Do what it takes. Beat the Phillies today. See you all in the next stream. Peace.